Chapter 1. The Lie. The Rooftop Ritual. Yuna Lee stood at the edge of the school rooftop, eyes closed, letting the wind sting her cheeks. The cold bit harder up here, sharper than in the classroom. From this height, the world felt smaller. Cars like slow-moving beetles, people like dots with destinations. Everything below obeyed gravity, but up here, thoughts drifted. She opened her eyes and looked down at the photo in her hand. It was creased in the middle, edges soft from being held too often. In it, her mother wore a blue blouse and her usual lopsided smile, half composed, half chaos. Yuna was 12 in the photo. Her arms clung around her mother's waist, smile rigid, eyes too tired for a child that young. That photo was taken 3 days before the last birthday Yuna ever celebrated with her mother. Interrupted by loyalty. The door to the roof banged open. Marisol's voice sliced through the air. She marched over, school tie untied and flapping like a war flag.
Yuna, we have 30 minutes before the inter-school scrimmage. Coach is twitching.
Yuna said nothing. Marisol stopped next to her, eyeing the photo.
You do this every year around this time, like a ritual.
It's not a ritual. It's remembering.
Well, remember, after the quiz match, we can't forfeit again. You okay?
Yuna folded the photo and slipped it into her jacket pocket.
Fine.
Marisol didn't believe her, but she never pressed. That was the silent agreement between them. Loyalty without invasion. Instead, she turned toward the door.
Hurry, they're warming up already.
Yuna followed, but her mind lingered behind. The quiz that shifted everything. The classroom reeked of marker ink, nerves, and anticipation. Desks had been cleared, replaced with buzzers and screens. On the back wall, the banner read in crisp block letters, International Prep Regional Quiz Series, Round 1. Min Jae-han, the team captain, handed out buzzers.
Everyone clear on rotation order?
Same as last time,
said Marisol, cracking her knuckles. Yuna nodded silently. Their opponents filed in, a team from Polaris Academy, all polished shoes and smirking confidence. One of them gave Yuna a once-over and whispered something to his teammate. She ignored it. The only thing that mattered now was clarity. Focus.
Begin,
called the proctor. The first question came in a flash.
What 10-letter word describes a government ruled by the wealthy?
Plutocracy.
Yuna said, buzzing in before the reader even finished.
Correct.
Her teammates exhaled. Min Jae smirked. Marisol gave her a subtle thumbs up. The rounds flew by. Yuna moved like a blade through every question, precise, fast, and visible when needed, deadly when not. But halfway through the final round, something shifted. The screen flickered. The next question appeared.
What element has the atomic number 173?
Yuna froze. Her mind scans the periodic table. But there was a problem. Element 173 had only recently been proposed in certain academic circles. It wasn't officially named yet in standard curriculum. There were 2 possible names, both debated. One was theoretical, the other provisional. She glanced at the judges' table. They were watching her, closely. Too closely. This wasn't a question meant to test knowledge. This was a trap,
Time's up.
the proctor said. Yuna stayed silent. Right over victory. After the round, while the team celebrated their narrow win, Min Jae pulled her aside.
You knew that answer. You could have guessed. Why didn't you?
There were two possible answers. One was wrong, the other wouldn't have been accepted.
So you'd rather lose than be imprecise.
I'd rather be right than play their game.
Unspoken regret. Yuna paused at the apartment door, her fingers grazing the faded keycard. The hum of the hallway light flickered above her. A sensor blinked red, then green. She stepped inside. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and metal, cold, untouched. Her father, Seo Jung-kwan, had left early again. A note blinked on the wall screen. Left for work. Dinner in the cooler. Don't wait up. Dad. She stared at the screen a moment too long before turning it off. Their apartment was efficient, tidy, and painfully quiet. It had been this way for years, ever since the day silence became their shared language. But the silence wasn't just born from grief. It was rooted in something more complex, something unspoken. Yuna had been 13. Her mother was in the hospital, fragile and fading. Her father hovered between shifts, torn between duty and fear. That morning, her 13th birthday, Yuna had a high fever, her chest tight, her head pounding. But she smiled through it.
I'm fine, Appa. You should go. I'll be okay.
He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded, grabbed his coat, and left. She collapsed an hour later. By the time her father was reached and rushed back, it was too late. Her mother had passed just minutes before he arrived, asking for him with fading breath. He never blamed Yuna, not once, but she blamed herself. That one lie meant to protect him, to ease his burden, had stolen from them both. Since then, their relationship had become a carefully choreographed distance. Her father buried himself in work, and Yuna armored herself with knowledge. Emotions became unsafe territory. There were no confrontations, no outbursts, just absence. And in that absence, regret thrived. Yuna's sharp memory remembered everything. The ticking clock, the door closing, the way her mother's eyes never opened again. She learned then that silence could be fatal, and honesty sometimes came too late. So now she never said she was fine unless she meant it. And she never said she needed someone, even when she did.